What if I told you that one of Lamborghini's rarest V12 Grand Tours, a car built for elegance, power, and exclusivity, has been hiding in the shadows of legends like the Miura and Countach? The Lamborghini Islero S Coupe is a forgotten masterpiece, a true classic car that only the most passionate collectors know about. Today, we're going deep into its history, its specs, and why this vintage Lamborghini might just be the most underrated gem of all time. When people think of Lamborghini in the late 1960s, one car dominates the conversation: the Miura, the wild mid-engine supercar that redefined the automotive world. But right alongside it, Lamborghini launched another car, one that quietly carried the brand's DNA in a very different direction: the Lamborghini Islero Coupe. To understand why the Islero exists, we need to go back to Lamborghini's philosophy at the time. Ferruccio Lamborghini was not just building cars to shock the world, he wanted machines that he himself would enjoy driving. Ferruccio loved refinement, comfort, and the ability to cruise long distances in style. While the Miura captured magazine covers and posters for teenage bedroom walls, Ferruccio's personal taste leaned towards something more subtle: a Grand Tourer, a car that could devour miles on the autostrada with grace and power. The Islero was the direct successor to the 400 GT, Lamborghini's earlier front-engine V12 GT. But there was a problem. Carrozzeria Touring, the company that built the bodies for the 350 and 400 GT, had gone bankrupt. Lamborghini had to find a new coach builder, and they turned to Carrozzeria Marazzi, a small company founded by former touring employees. That's why the Islero carries a unique mix of old and new. Its bones came from the proven 400 GT platform, but its body was penned and assembled by Marazzi. The design philosophy was deliberate. Lamborghini didn't want another flamboyant statement piece. They already had the Miura for that. Instead, the Islero was meant to appeal to a different clientele: mature buyers, wealthy professionals, and enthusiasts who valued discretion paired with V12 performance. Imagine someone who wanted Ferrari-level prestige, but without drawing a crowd every time they parked. That was the Islero buyer. Now, the styling itself tells this story. Compared to the sweeping curves of the Miura, the Islero looked restrained, almost conservative. Its lines were clean and square-shouldered, the glass house offered excellent visibility, and the interior was focused on comfort, with leather seats, better soundproofing, and improved ergonomics over the 400 GT. Some critics at the time even said it looked too modest for a Lamborghini. But that was exactly the point. The Islero was designed for those who understood exclusivity not as showing off, but as enjoying something rare and refined. But let's be honest, this path wasn't without challenges. Carrozzeria Marazzi struggled with build quality, and some early cars suffered from poor panel fit and finishing details. In an era when Lamborghini was still a young company, these imperfections stood out. Reviewers praised the performance and the incredible 4-liter V12, but they didn't hold back on criticizing the craftsmanship. This limited its appeal compared to rivals like the Maserati Ghibli or certain Ferrari 2+2s, which were better known and more polished. Still, Lamborghini pushed forward. At the 1968 Geneva Motor Show, the Islero debuted as the company's refined Grand Tour. Its name followed tradition. Islero was the bull that killed the famous matador Monolete in 1947, a symbol of danger, power, and strength. For Ferruccio, names were never chosen lightly. They carried a mythology that elevated the cars beyond metal and wheels. For Lamborghini, the Islero represented more than just another model. It was a statement that the company wasn't only about extreme supercars, it was about versatility. It was proof that Lamborghini could produce a luxurious V12 GT that balanced speed with sophistication, passion with practicality. And while it may not have captured the spotlight in its day, this is exactly why enthusiasts today find it so fascinating. The Islero tells a side of Lamborghini's story that's often overshadowed: the quieter, more elegant side. A side built for true drivers who wanted a car to enjoy, not just to show. Underneath, the elegant and understated skin of the Lamborghini Islero S Coupe beats one of the most iconic engines ever built, the legendary Lamborghini V12. This was not just any engine, it was the same Giotto Bizzarini-designed aluminum block masterpiece that first appeared in the 350 GT, refined over years and perfected by the late 1960s. By the time it powered the Islero, it was already a symbol of Lamborghini's engineering pedigree. The numbers alone still impress today. Displacing just under 4.0 liters, exactly 3,929 cubic centimeters, this naturally aspirated V12 featured dual overhead cams per bank and 6 twin-barrel Weber carburetors feeding fuel and air. In the standard Islero, the setup delivered around 325 to 340 horsepower at a screaming 7,000 RPM. But in the Islero S, Lamborghini pushed it further, 350 horsepower with torque figures around 277 pound-foot. For the late 60s, that was blistering power, enough to put the Islero firmly among the elite Grand Tours of its time. Performance figures told the story. This car could spring from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just about 6.2 seconds and keep going to a top speed of 161 miles per hour. Remember, this was 1969. Very few road-going cars in the world could match those numbers, and fewer still could deliver them while carrying 4 passengers in comfort. But the Islero wasn't just about raw power. Lamborghini engineered it to be a true Grand Tourer. It sat on a shortened version of the 400 GT's chassis, giving it a slightly more compact footprint while retaining generous interior space. The suspension was fully independent at all 4 corners, double wishbones, coil springs, and anti-roll bars, a sophisticated setup that gave the Islero balance and stability at high speeds.
And then there were the brakes, 4-wheel discs, servo-assisted, which was still advanced for the era. The Islero S in particular benefited from larger, more powerful brakes, addressing some of the criticisms aimed at the original model. Add to that a slick 5-speed manual transmission, and you had a car that was not only fast in a straight line, but confidence-inspiring on winding roads. Driving enthusiasts often highlight the way the Islero felt behind the wheel. It was a car of contrasts: the comfort of soft leather seats, excellent visibility from its large greenhouse, and refined cabin insulation, paired with the savage roar of a V12 when the accelerator was pressed hard. Unlike the radical Miura, which could be intimidating, the Islero gave its driver confidence. It was more predictable, more usable, yet never dull. The Islero S, introduced in 1969, was the model that truly perfected this formula. In addition to the more powerful engine and upgraded brakes, it featured subtle exterior tweaks, wider fenders, revised front vents for better cooling, and small stylistic adjustments that gave it a stronger stance. Inside, the improvements were even more noticeable: higher quality materials, more modern instrumentation, and details that made the cabin feel worthy of a luxury Grand Tourer. Even the wheels told their own story. The car rode on lightweight Campagnolo magnesium alloys shod in Pirelli Cinturato tires, the perfect pairing of Italian engineering excellence. The fuel tank, cleverly positioned beneath the trunk, offered enough range for serious touring. In many ways, Lamborghini had engineered a car that was as practical as it was exhilarating.
Of course, this was still an Italian exotic. Owners quickly learned that the V12 demanded attention. Tuning 6 carburetors was an art, and maintaining the cooling system was critical, but that was part of the experience. Driving an Islero wasn't about convenience. It was about passion, connection, and feeling every beat of that 12-cylinder heart. In the context of its era, the Islero S was one of the fastest and most technically advanced Grand Tours available. It offered Ferrari-level performance with a more restrained personality. For buyers who wanted to enjoy the open road with both speed and sophistication, it delivered exactly that, a blend of luxury and muscle that very few cars of the time could match. Today, when enthusiasts talk about the great Lamborghini V12s, the Miura and Countach often take the spotlight, but the Islero deserves recognition for its engineering. It proved that Lamborghini could build not just wild mid-engine supercars, but also refined front-engine GTs that stood shoulder to shoulder with the best of Ferrari and Maserati. This technical brilliance, the blend of a hand-built V12, a carefully tuned chassis, and a timeless grand touring philosophy, is what makes the Islero so captivating for collectors and car lovers today. When the Lamborghini Islero first debuted at the 1968 Geneva Motor Show, it entered a world that was already captivated by its sibling, the Miura. The Miura had shocked the industry with its radical mid-engine design and futuristic styling. By comparison, the Islero looked restrained, and that shaped its reception. Journalists of the time admired the car's V12 engine and praised its ability to balance comfort with performance. They recognized it as a true grand tourer, one that could carry 4 people, luggage, and still outrun most cars on the road. But they also didn't hold back on criticism. Carrozzeria Marazzi's assembly quality left much to be desired. Uneven panel gaps, questionable finishing, and the occasional squeak or rattle made reviewers question whether it lived up to Lamborghini's reputation for perfection. The styling divided opinions too. Some appreciated its clean, understated lines, but others thought it looked too conservative for a Lamborghini. In an era when exotic cars were meant to turn heads instantly, the Islero didn't shout, it whispered. That subtlety, which today feels elegant, in the late 60s felt almost too modest. And as a result, the car struggled to capture the same excitement that followed Ferrari's 365 GT2+2 or Maserati's Ghibli. Production numbers tell the story of its commercial struggle. Over just 2 short years, Lamborghini built only about 225 examples, 125 of the original Islero and 100 of the improved Islero S. For context, Ferrari sold far more units of its comparable GTs. By 1970, Lamborghini had quietly phased the Islero out and introduced the Jarama, a car designed to appeal more directly to American safety and emissions regulations. So, was the Islero a failure? At the time, commercially, yes. It didn't become the hit Lamborghini hoped for. But from another perspective, it succeeded brilliantly. It delivered exactly what Ferruccio envisioned, a refined GT that he could personally enjoy. A car with the soul of a Lamborghini V12, but dressed in a suit rather than a flamboyant costume. Fast forward to today, and the story takes a dramatic turn. What once was overlooked has become one of the rarest Lamborghini production cars ever built. And in the world of classic cars, rarity translates directly into desirability. Collectors now see the Islero as a hidden gem, a piece of Lamborghini history that reflects a different side of the brand. At auction, values have steadily risen. A clean Islero might fetch around $230,000, while an Islero S can command $270,000 to $300,000 or more. Exceptional examples, restored to perfection with matching numbers and full documentation, have sold for upwards of $340,000. For a long time, the Islero was undervalued compared to the Miura or Countach, but that's changing as more enthusiasts discover its story. And the appreciation isn't just financial. Among classic car enthusiasts, the Islero has gained a cult following. People admire its balance. It's a Lamborghini you can actually drive and enjoy without the constant drama of the Miura or the radical lines of the Countach. It's elegant, usable, and deeply exclusive. Owning one today is like holding a secret, a reminder that not all treasures scream for attention. Of course, buying one isn't for the faint of heart. With only 225 cars built, parts can be incredibly hard to find. The V12 demands expert care, and restoring an Islero to concours condition can cost more than the car itself. That's why collectors are advised to prioritize originality, documentation, and proven maintenance history. Cars with mismatched parts or botched restorations lose much of their value. But for those willing to take on the challenge, the reward is unmatched. You're not just buying a car, you're buying a chapter of Lamborghini history that very few people can ever experience. You're joining a circle of enthusiasts who know that the Islero S Coupe is more than just a footnote. It's a reminder of Ferruccio's original vision: performance wrapped in elegance, exclusivity without excess. And let's not forget the little details that add to its mystique. Roger Moore, long before James Bond, drove an Islero S in the 1970 film The Man Who Haunted Himself. And the very name, Islero, connects the car to bullfighting legend, the bull that killed the famous matador Monolete in 1947. These cultural touches transform the Islero into more than a machine. It's history, mythology, and engineering rolled into one. Today, the Islero stands as proof that sometimes the quietest cars leave the loudest legacy. While it never reached the stardom of the Miura or Countach, it carved its own path. A vintage Lamborghini Grand Tourer for those who appreciate subtle beauty backed by a ferocious V12. The more you learn about the Lamborghini Islero S, the more it feels like a secret chapter in Lamborghini's history, a chapter only true classic car enthusiasts get to experience. A rare Grand Tourer, elegant yet powered by that legendary V12, and one of the most fascinating vintage Lamborghinis ever built. Now it's your turn to join the conversation. What do you think of the Islero S? Is it an underrated masterpiece, or do you believe it deserves to remain a hidden gem among rare cars? And tell me, what classic car would you love to see featured in our next deep dive review? If you enjoyed this journey into the world of vintage machines, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story from the golden age of classic cars. Share this video with other enthusiasts who live and breathe old-school automotive passion. It helps this community of car lovers grow even stronger. Because here, every story we tell is about more than just cars. It's about history, engineering, and the emotions that only true legends like the Lamborghini Islero S Coupe can inspire.